the guy who's been in it for 12 years is very subdued and quiet. He's always got this face sort of all the way through it, like. But the plaintiff reacts like this. Hello lovely people, my name is Emma. Welcome to my channel, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. So I saw this clip surface the other day of Judge Judy just absolutely ripping MLM schemes a new one. It's fabulous in so many ways. This clip isn't actually the first time that there's been an MLM on Judge Judy, and she clearly has always had quite a negative opinion of them, which is sort of fabulous. But I just think this clip is so great in a really simple and entertaining way at pointing out the flaws, the deep flaws in the MLM business model. And I really want to talk about it. So I'm going to play some audio clips and I'm going to talk about why I think that's really good and expand on some points and just have fun, because we could all use a bit of levity now and then, couldn't we? So the premise here, if you don't know Judge Judy, I assume most people know what Judge Judy is. For anyone who doesn't, it's basically televised small claims court, American small claims court. The judge is a real judge, but she's very, she's got quite a personality, and it's daytime TV. It's the sort of television that I watched when I was an undergrad. In this case, the plaintiff is a member of an MLM. I believe it's Free Life. I'm not 100% sure. He says it once very quickly, and that's what I gathered from it, which is an American, it's a supplement MLM, sort of the same as everything else, you have to buy in. He fronted the money to get his friend into his downline. She didn't succeed, it didn't go well for her, so she quit, and now she owes him back the money that he paid for her to join. The plaintiff won the claims case because there's not really a leg to stand on for the individual here. Unfortunately, the problems are wider within the industry rather than with the individuals involved, so there's not really anything you can do about that. But I want to highlight the way that Judge Judy describes MLM because it's really interesting and hilarious.
You have this vitamin bottle, because that's what they sell, vitamins. And Ronald, that's this guy over here, he's been in the business 12 years. He sometimes sells these vitamins, but what he does mostly is get other people under him who sell vitamins.
Yes, what he does mostly is get other people under him. He probably does sell product every now and then just because why wouldn't you? That is part of the business. But most of what he does is get people under him to buy in because he gets a piece of that.
And depending upon at what level they buy in, they could buy in with $500 or $1,000 or $2,000. They get product. He brings him in. Mr. Sincere over here buys $5,000 worth of product. He gets a piece of that.
Sure.
So it's like slavery, What you do is he brings in, what's your first name?
Damien.
He brings in a lot of Damiens. Damien 1, Damien 2, Damien 3, Damien 4.
Level 2 of the pyramid.
Whatever Damien orders from the business, not sells, but orders from the business, Ronald gets a piece of.
Multi-level marketing.
Correct.
Multi-level marketing.
So then it inures to Damien 1 through 5. They say, listen, we want to be Ronald too.
Of course.
So we're going to see if we can get, what's your name? Amy. A whole bunch of Amy's.
Level 3.
Under us to buy as much product as you can, because they get a piece of whatever Amy buys.
Of course. And
And
him
they
too.
all
That's an important part that I actually didn't note the first time that I watched it, where she actually says we want to get them to buy as much product as they can, which is another brilliant point because the people who are involved in the schemes are primarily the main consumers of product because they have to buy in. In this particular scheme, assuming it is Free Life, I'm not super confident on that, but that was the only thing I could find, and it's an American company. The website is down now. The internet says it's still active, but so assuming that is what it is, you have to buy in. You can send back your product, but you never get a full refund. That's part of the issue in this case, actually, is that you don't get a full refund for the product you send back. But so it benefits the people in the scheme to get the people joining to buy in as high as possible and to keep buying product. I'll come back to this in a second.
And so does Ronald.
That's right.
Because Ronald gets a smaller piece of Amy.
So we've got
but
Ronald.
He still gets a piece of
He's
Amy.
Amy.
Damien.
And then, what's your name?
Amy.
Cody.
Cody.
Amy then says, I want to get a whole bunch of Codys because that's the way I'm going to make my money. And he's going to get a little piece of Cody, and he's going to get a smaller piece of Cody, but everybody's going to get a piece of Cody. That's the way the game works.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way the game works. I just think that's an absolutely fantastic way to describe it. Because what she's essentially describing is a pyramid scheme. Multi-level marketing is a pyramid scheme with product. That's what it is. The truth is that most MLMs don't require end customers because the sales reps are the customers. In the unique video we just looked at, they were advising reps make a video every single day showing a different product. How do you do that if you don't buy product? Plus your starter kit, samples. You make money from the buy-in, and I believe in this MLM, if it is Free Life, you buy in from upwards of $500, and that's where the money is made for your upline and the company. The reason MLM is likened to pyramid schemes is because, save the potential for an end consumer to get a product, the business model is exactly the same. Obviously, some are worse than others. There are MLMs like Energic, for example, that have product that is really difficult to sell, and you do make most of that money from the buy-in. There are some that are more product focused, things that sell cheaper, smaller products, things like The Body Shop or Ann Summers. It's definitely a spectrum. I wouldn't say it's like slavery, although that was quite funny. Just because there is one small, technically legal difference between the scheme you're in and a pyramid scheme doesn't mean that it's nothing like a pyramid scheme. It means that it's extremely like a pyramid scheme, except for this one thing. One thing that I think is interesting from this particular clip is that Judy explains the MLM model in this very damning way. And the guy who's been in it for 12 years is very subdued and quiet. He's always got this face, sort of all the way through it, like. But the plaintiff reacts like this. He knows exactly what it is. He's just one of the many people who is hoping to get some people who are good at recruiting under him so that he can be one of the few that makes money. Those are the people I have the least sympathy for. The defendant in this case is like a prime target for MLM, and we'll look at that in a second. But this guy, it's like, he knows that's how it works. He knows what it is. He just hopes that he can be one of the ones that does well at it. Maybe that's a lot of assumptions to make for a man that we see on TV for like 1 minute.
Now, you also reach certain levels in this business, because if you're a master, or if you're a guru, or if you're a titan, or if you're an Ogatunji, whatever.
I love that she kind of makes fun of the level names in the same way as me. You're a master or whatever, you're a supreme diamond level 5.
What happens is they give you perks. Do you get perks in your business, like a car?
If you get high enough, you do.
Ah,
Yeah,
you
I'm
think,
not there
you think
yet.
this is a scheme that I haven't been through a couple of times in my life?
No, I didn't say that.
All right, I got it. So if you get up really high, if you get to be a grandmaster Ungatunji, they give you a BMW.
Of course.
Or they give you a Mercedes.
I love that Judy is so familiar with these schemes that she preempts the car park. She like gets it exactly, and then she asks the guy who's been in this for 12 years what car he drives, and he's got a BMW, and it's just like, and everybody is just sort of smiling and laughing along because they know these two guys that have been in it. The plaintiff, I think he says, has been in it for 3 years. And then obviously he's got his friend Ronald, who has been in it for 12 years. And they just know exactly what they're doing. They've heard all this before because it's, you know, the true fact of the scheme they're in. They just are happy to, you know, exaggerate the potential to be successful and let others believe that it's possible when they know that it's not. Depending on how early you got in, depending on how many people there are under you, how saturated the market in your area already is, they don't care because they're the people that are making it right now. I also love that she refers to it as a scheme. I mean, scheme isn't itself a particularly bad word or dirty word, but it definitely has certain connotations that are avoided by MLMs who use their own language. Again, the unique video we just watched showed so much like alternative language usage where the person who was from corporate would call recruiting sponsoring, and would call, you know, this scheme, this business. They always call it my business, your business, our business, which is fine. I feel like reminding people now and then that it is a scheme. I think part of it must be that it does, again, call back to pyramid scheme, and that's part of what the negative connotation is. But I think that's helpful and good in reminding people where this comes from, you know, and what it really is.
So there are advantages for Ronald to get a whole bunch of Damians, and for Damians to get a whole bunch of Amy's, and for Amy's to get a whole bunch of Codys, Because in addition to getting the money, you also get the perks.
Yeah, there are always tons of incentives to recruit, because that is where the majority of the money is made. Again, both for the people high up and for the companies. Judge Judy knows it. We know it. It's just how, as she says, it's how the game works.
Now, Damien over here got Amy involved in the business, and she bought inventory. How much worth, sir?
It was worth $5,000.
What are you asking him for? The questions are going to get harder.
Oh my.
So it's kind of played off as a joke here, and it's something that happens in the small claims court shows quite a lot. I think partly because people are nervous, so I'll cut this guy a little bit of slack. But I do think it's interesting that he looks to his upline so often for the answers, because that again is just so MLM. Like, if I'm not 100% sure of the answers, the guy who's my mentor, you know, who's been in it for 12 years will know and be able to tell me, and I can just feed that information to, you know, there's no personal checking. He's not got, because he's got obviously evidence to support his claim, but within that he's not got how much money there was. He's just going straight to his upline to be like, what is the answer here? Thank you. Because that's part of the teaching, is if you get a question that you don't know the answer to, go to your upline, and that is part of how so much misinformation is spread.
I think it was worth about $5,000, and he actually put up $3,300.
Okay, but you put up a...
Okay, so sorry, another aside. What supplements? Like, how much and what products could you possibly be getting for that much money? This is like 2003 as well or something. This isn't current. So theoretically, you know, inflation would have been a bit lower. Prices would have been a little bit cheaper. MLMs in general tend to be super, super overpriced. They have to be, because it's cheap products. Nobody's going to make any money selling one mascara every now and then. The commission on products like that is just abysmal. So it has to be marked up anyway in order to compensate for the number of people that money is going through. But I find, at least from my experience and from my research, the health and wellness ones are the most expensive, and you can almost always find a cheaper alternative, like a much cheaper alternative, every single time. You can with all the makeup ones as well, but the health and wellness ones just particularly are super overpriced. And imagine buying into a vitamin sales company for like $5,000. What are you I'm imagining like a garage full of product, but I'm guessing it's not actually that much. Incidentally, I'll link this down below. Sources in the description, as always. There's a great website that I really like called Supplement Police, which is obviously not specifically about MLM. It's about supplements and the wellness industry, but it covers a lot of MLMs, because a lot of MLMs sell ridiculous overpriced vitamin products. So it's worth having a look at their website for reviews of supplements and things. I don't know why I'm so interested in the vitamin industry. I guess I just really I'm really interested in consumer protection, and it is one of the areas that really takes advantage of people's fear about their own health. But anyway, so I had a look at Free Life on Supplement Police, and there was a bit of controversy about this company, which there always is when you look these up, but especially the health and wellness companies, because somebody always is exaggerating the claims. They usually do it without saying it, and then they're really hinting at the fact that, you know, this will help you. Like when I talked to Nat about Juice Plus, she was pointing out that as soon as the COVID pandemic started, they started selling an immune boosting package. And it's like people were selling that for use during COVID, and it's like nobody is directly saying this will cure or prevent COVID, but it's heavily, heavily implied, and then there's the small print that says the FDA does not recognize this as which I think is very disingenuous. But anyway, so in 2007, one of their spokespeople for Free Life International got in trouble for basically saying that these products could cure cancer, which I feel like this is the exact same story that I read the same thing when I was looking at Q Sciences a little while ago. The spokesperson exaggerated the anti-aging and anti-cancer properties of goji juice during a hidden camera investigation by CBC. So I'll put that in the description as well. But it gets better, right? Because like I say, that is the story of so many MLMs. So this one has an extension to it that makes it even more fun than usual, which is that CBC later discovered that that spokesperson who had been claiming to be a doctor actually had a pretend PhD. They had an invalid PhD qualification, and their evidence was based on preliminary tests in a lab on cancer cell inhibition rather than official testing. So they fired this person, and now they kind of tone down the anti-aging and anti-cancer properties of the stuff that they sell. I just thought that was interesting because there's always that controversy around products and MLMs like these, like always, to the point where it's like, if you run this kind of business, you cannot avoid it, and therefore it's one of the things we should count as a flaw in the business model rather than something that you blame the person for. I get comments a lot that sort of say, well, you know, every business is going to have someone who does X, Y, and Z, and it's like, well, no, only if the business allows it.
Ms. Brown says you gave her all kinds of sales pitch. You told her she was going to make a fortune, that there were Cody's floating around under every rock, that she was going to be able to sell these vitamins, that they were the greatest thing since sliced bread.
There you go. That's it. That's every MLM. The person who got her into it was hoping for the best. There is no, and again, it feels like I'm constantly talking about other videos I made, but it's because the MLMs are all so similar that we see evidence for the same things in all sorts of things that we look at. Oh yeah, now we mean business. I like that like 50s poster. Like we just saw in the unique video, again, you're supposed to reach out to everyone. Anyone and everyone. And you tell all of them that they'll be amazing at it. You'll be so good at this. What's this woman? No offense to her. I'm sure she's fantastic in many ways. But what has she got going for her that made him think that she would be really successful? Point is that you reach out to as many people as possible. You get as many people to join as you can, and then some of them stick. If some of them stick, then you make money off of those ones, right? It's just, you're just throwing as much at the wall as you can and hoping that some of it sticks. That's how you make your money, because a lot of these people aren't going to be, they're not going to be good at sales, and B, it's just really hard to sell this shit. So she was sold the dream. Again, there's nothing that a court can do about this. That doesn't change the fact, unfortunately, that she owes him money. It's, again, a byproduct of MLM schemes and the industry rather than an individual thing, because you can bet that this guy, Damien, will have been taught by Ronald how to big up the company like it's the most amazing thing in the world. And they were probably teaching, surname? Amy. They were probably teaching Amy the exact same things. This is the best thing since sliced bread. And we know how MLMs love bread.
And I agreed to make payments.
So why didn't you?
Because at the time I had lost my job, I was laid off, and I just bought my condo. And
so this is someone who has new home payments. She was recently made unemployed. She also, bless her, later on demonstrates no understanding of running a business. She doesn't know anything about bookkeeping or doing her taxes. She was completely naive. That is the perfect target for an MLM scheme. Literally, again, my very latest video is corporate telling new reps that it's great to be completely naive and encouraging people to recruit their friends who are equally naive. Just do it was the phrasing, I believe. It benefits the MLM for people to be not that great at keeping a record of their incomings and outgoings. It benefits the MLM to recruit people who are financially desperate and more likely to fall for the dreamy sales pitch without thinking it through over a longer period and doing more research and asking more opinions. It's really sad, I think, because, yeah, in this situation, what can she do? She agreed to everything. She put her stamp of approval on everything, on borrowing the money, on starting her business, and on paying him back, because she was sold the fact that she would make that money back and it would all be easy and it would get her out of this debt, that she wouldn't have to worry about not having work because she would be able to supplement whatever income she gets with these vitamins. And it just doesn't work out like that. But then there's no safety net in place for people that fail. And this is why things like this and MLM cases so often go to court and then nothing comes of them, because there's no safety measure in place for that. There's nothing to stop people exaggerating how well you can do. The very small print on the bottom of one web page on the company website, which is what there almost always is, that says everyone can't make money that easily, anyone who says that you can is exaggerating. What does that actually prevent? who, in a desperate financial situation, whose friend is coming to them and saying, join this with me, it'll be fun and it will help you out of debt, who's going and finding that tiny small print and being like, okay, well, there's a chance I might not make any money? Because what are you going to believe? All of the people and all of the materials coming at you that are saying you will make money, you will be successful? Or are you going to believe this tiny little bit of writing? And as soon as you've read the writing and you ask about the people who don't succeed, the people in the company will say, well, they didn't try. Those people didn't try. And again, there's evidence there's evidence up to here of people doing that. We know that it happens. Those people just didn't work hard enough. It wasn't for them. They weren't good enough. You would be good enough. If you put the work in, if you do what I tell you to do, you will absolutely make it and be one of these successful people. And then when they aren't, what have they got except for debt? All this woman has got out of the scheme is more debt, and there's nothing that anyone can do. There's nothing we can do in court. There's nothing that the company is willing to do, because this is how they make their money. It doesn't matter whether she's successful. If she's one of the successful ones and she recruits more people, then bully for everyone. But if she isn't one of the successful ones, they've made their money off of her already. So there we go. Like I said, the plaintiff won in this case, which is sad because he's a skeevy MLM guy who knows exactly what the scheme is and doesn't have any sadness or feel any responsibility over it, and is probably doing this to other people right now. But that's how the scheme goes. That's what it is. And you have to, unfortunately, a lot of people have to be in this position before they see it, which is why preventative information and getting the word out and telling people as much as possible is something great that we can do, which is again a reason that I love this being on Judge Judy. And I love that this isn't the first. There's like 3 or 4 times MLMs have been on here and she's ripped into them every single time. I think that is just so wonderful, because if everybody, even if they then join, if you have in your head at the start that you need to keep a record of your incomings and outgoings, if you know what the dangers are, and if you are responsible when you're talking to other people about the company and honest, if we can get people to do that, you make the schemes as safe as they possibly can be and reduce interest, because everyone who knows that they're really unlikely to succeed is probably not going to be as willing to try it. So this was a little bit of a random fun one. I just enjoyed the clip a lot when I saw it, and I thought there were lots of really good points made, and I think that even just the body language of the people involved is really interesting. It's such a almost cliche, like if you made up an MLM story, it would be this. It would be the desperate woman who has lost her job and has payments to make, has been sucked into this scheme, told she's going to do super well and live this dream life, and then she's failed and lost money. It's like, it's every MLM horror story, isn't it? I hope you have enjoyed this video. Do leave a comment down below. I would like to remind everyone that I am going live on Twitch every single Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. GMT. I play games and we chat. It's a really fun time. I usually have a gin. So you can follow me at Emma Little Duck over there and be notified when I'm live, and come and hang out because it is super good fun. Do like this video if you liked it, share it if you found it interesting, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, check out my gaming channel if you would like to hear more from me, and I will see you very soon.